screen has been volatile. There's been a lot of news to digest, and shortly we will hear it from the MEA spokespersons. Just remember, recapping the story so far, the claim from the Pakistani side is that they have shot down an Indian aircraft and taken 2 Indian Air Force pilots in custody. Their claim is one of the pilots is in hospital. They have released a video, which of course CNBC TV 18 is not showing due to the Geneva Conventions. The video does claim that the captured pilot is an Indian Air Force personnel. So those are the claims that have come in from the Pakistani side. We'll see what the Indian side has to say on some of these issues. Of course, earlier in the day, we did get reports that India has also shot down an F-16, and that is something that was denied by the Pakistani statement. So there's just a lot going on at the moment, and we're awaiting clarity in the next couple of minutes. As we are awaiting that, Anuj, the market also, I mean, right now, just on tenterhooks, I guess.
I think it is. But frankly, the risk of escalation perhaps are now, going up a bit, and that's why, the market's not seeing a, sharper recovery. Also, you don't want to perhaps take overnight risk. Yeah,
you don't know what's to come tomorrow
morning. You don't know what's to come,
right?
Overnight. Tomorrow morning, you want to take a fresh card. So that, I think, perhaps explains that why, we're not seeing any kind of last hour covering in this market, which I thought would be the base case, but that hasn't played out.
Right. Let's quickly get in a word from Dilip Bhatt before that briefing begins. Dilip, good afternoon. These are tense times. Your thoughts, and what would you advise all the traders, all the short-term investors out there?
Well, I think we are all living in the shadow of the escalating tensions without any doubt. And we all know that war or any kind of...
Okay, Dilip, I think the presser is just starting, so let's listen into the MEA.
I welcome you all to this media briefing. I am joined by Air Vice Marshal RGK Kapoor. I will read out a prepared statement on recent developments on India-Pakistan front. We will not take any questions after my statement. India had informed about counter-terrorism action it took yesterday against a terrorist training camp of Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan, based on credible evidence that Jaish-e-Mohammed intended to launch more attacks. Against this counter-terrorism action, Pakistan has responded this morning by using its Air Force to target military installations on the Indian side. Due to our high state of readiness and alertness, Pakistan's attempts were foiled successfully. The Pakistan Air Force was detected, and the Indian Air Force responded instantly. In that aerial engagement, one Pakistan Air Force fighter aircraft was shot down by a MiG-21 Bison of the Indian Air Force. The Pakistani aircraft was seen by ground forces falling from the sky on the Pakistan side. In this engagement, we have unfortunately lost one MiG-21. The pilot is missing in action. Pakistan has claimed that he is in their custody. We are ascertaining the facts. Thank you very much. That concludes the briefing. Sachin, we are not taking any questions. If we have more information, we will share that with you. Thank you.
All right, that is the official confirmation coming in from India. That's the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Air Force combined briefing saying that there was engagement with Pakistani Air Force this morning. And in that, we have lost one MiG-21, while there has also been the loss of one Pakistani fighter jet. There has also been the loss of one MiG-21. The pilot is missing. Remember, the Pakistan Army has put out footage of an Indian Air Force pilot in captivity. In that briefing, what you have heard from India is saying that one pilot is missing, but saying that they will need to verify Pakistan's claims on whether the Air Force pilot that has gone missing is indeed in Pak captivity. Remember, as CNBC TV 18 has maintained, we will not be showing the visuals that have been released by Pakistan Army because that is in contravention to the Geneva Convention norms. But this is significant because not just the fact that there is one Indian Air Force pilot that has now been confirmed missing in action by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Air Force, that corroborates to some extent the claim that was being made by Pakistan this morning, while the government maintains that they will have to verify the claims being made by Pakistan on the Air Force pilot being in captivity. On the other hand, also confirmation coming in that there was an engagement with the Pakistani Air Force. Remember, the Pakistani Air Force in its statement said that they had not gone after military targets. They said that the strike was at non-military targets, but that denial very clearly coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs, saying that Pakistan targeted India's military installations, and hence this is now contrary to the statement that was put out by Pakistan. We've got with us Air Marshal Ahluwalia joining us. Sir, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. We have the confirmation now coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs and the Air Force, a joint briefing being held, not too much by way of details, but saying that in the engagement that happened with the Pakistan Air Force, we have lost a MiG-21 Bison and a pilot has now been confirmed missing in action. The Pakistan Army claims that it has two pilots in its captivity. They have released video footage as well, which we are not going to be showing. But your reaction on what has transpired today?
Well, actually, this is the signs of an underconfident nation. Pakistan has been trying to overcome the situation, what happened yesterday between 3:30 to 4 in the morning, where the Indian Air Force struck the JEM camps at Balakot, and successfully at that. They had to do something to make sure that at least their audience, the Pakistani audience or Pakistani people, were put at ease that Pakistan military, the Air Force, are capable of taking action against India. So this is all a reaction of that, and that's why you found that about 8 F-16s this morning came in close to the LOC. Some of them might have even crossed, and they delivered some ordnance, very little, in very open ground without causing any damage whatsoever. This is something different, which says that the MiG-21 was shot down, because this news did not come in earlier, and the pilot obviously must be in custody of the Pakistanis by now. But let's see how it develops, because at the moment, I don't think anything is very sure.
All that we know by way of confirmation from the Ministry of External Affairs is that an Indian Air Force pilot is now missing. They say in that press conference that a MiG-21 Bison took down a Pakistani aircraft, and in that interception, we have lost the MiG-21 and a pilot is missing. Let me also go across to the former Air Chief Marshal Naik, also with us. Air Chief Marshal Naik, thanks very much for joining us on the program, sir. This is the confirmation that's coming from the Indian government. Of course, claims being made by Pakistan that the Indian Air Force pilot, in fact, they say pilots, they claim that they have two in custody. Your first reaction, sir, and also what will this now mean, both in terms of response, possible escalation from here on, and what happens?
Yesterday we did a strike. No successful strike. We didn't lose any aircraft or any crew. We were expecting a response. Yesterday only I had said that Pakistan has to respond, but they don't know how to respond. Because it's a question of ego, it's a question of public opinion, etc. So probably, from what I hear from TV news, that they've sent a formation of some F-16 aircraft. They've crossed the LOC. I don't think they could have ingressed too much, because apparently there is an Indian reaction also. Indian aircraft in air defense role must have scrambled, which is probably a MiG-21 aircraft. So in the melee, apparently it appears as if one F-16 has been shot down their side. So obviously the combat must have been over the LOC, somewhere nearby, over the LC. Now during this, or because of ground fire, probably in all probability because of ground fire from Pakistan's side across the LOC, this Bison must have been shot down. That's what I feel. And during the ejection process,
Right.
he may have strayed
Just
across
for
to
the
the other
benefit...
side, and the pilot must have ejected.
Yeah, Air
Due
Chief
to
Marshal,
whatever
if I
conditions, he
may...
must have landed in
If I may,
Pakistan.
sir...
Yeah.
Right. Well, if I may, sir, take you through the statement that's coming from the Indian Air Force, which would perhaps give you a better sense of what may have transpired. And I'm quoting from the statement, sir. The Pakistan Air Force was detected and the Indian Air Force responded instantly. In that aerial engagement, one Pakistan Air Force fighter aircraft was shot down by a MiG-21 Bison of the Indian Air Force. The Pakistani aircraft was seen by ground forces falling from the sky on the Pakistan side. In this engagement, we have unfortunately lost one MiG-21. The pilot is missing in action. Pakistan has claimed that he is in their custody. We are ascertaining the fact. That is the statement, Air Chief Marshal, from the Ministry of External Affairs.
Yeah, probably. So what I said is correct. I mean, that's how it must have transpired. If they say that the pilot is in the custody, they've shown photos, I believe, on the television. I don't have access to television now. But then if they've shown photos, then obviously it is true. We need to find out what the actual details are. But this is how it could have transpired, like I just explained.
That's right. Air Chief Marshal, you know, what happens from here on? We saw a similar situation play out during the Kargil conflict as well, sir. You know, what would you expect now in terms of the norms of engagement, sir? Yeah.
Now, my feeling is we've carried out one strike, we have not carried out any further. They've carried out one strike, they haven't carried out any further. Situation along the LC will be tense. There will be across the border firing from both sides, I think. Situation in the countries, both countries, as far as the military installations are there, will be absolutely tense. Everybody will be on full alert. But so long as we do not carry out any actions, either side, to escalate the situation, I think the situation will remain simmering for some time and thereafter probably cool down. That's my hope, and that is my anticipation.
Right. Well, that is certainly the hope, sir. But Air Chief Marshal, let me ask you, sir, now that they claim that they have pilots of the Indian Air Force, and I say pilots because they showed video footage of one of the pilots which were not showing so as to not violate the Geneva Convention, sir. But they claim that they have two Indian Air Force pilots in custody. Now, what happens from here on, sir? Does India have any way of accessing, you know, the pilots? What can be done from here on when it comes to these two pilots allegedly in custody?
There are the Geneva Conventions. He is not. He is in full military dress, flying dress. So obviously he'll be treated as a prisoner of war. So Geneva Conventions apply, and both countries will keep talking. And whenever there is an exchange of prisoners, he would be, the pilots would be exchanged or sent across when the situation normalizes. That's what I feel. India would definitely
you said
approach.
that your hope and your
Sorry,
you were saying India would definitely approach?
Yeah, definitely approach the other side to check the veracity of the statement, to ensure that these guys are being treated properly, and generally approach the UN for a settlement of the issue.
Right. Air Chief Marshal, you said that your hope and your anticipation is that you will not expect further escalation from here on. But given the fact that Pakistan seems to have targeted military assets in India, while our preemptive strike did not target either the Pakistani army or the Pakistani Air Force, it was targeted at the JEM camp in Pakistan. Given the fact that military targets have been hit on Indian soil, sir, you know, what would you believe the response is likely to be on India's part?
No, we don't know what has been hit. Unless the situation becomes clear, there is no use raising the pitch or, you know, TV reactions and things like that. Let us wait and find out exactly what happened, what damage, if any, their strike has caused, what damage, if any, our strike has caused. And then once we compare, then we'll be able to reach some kind of a proper statement.
You're absolutely right, sir. We will await further details, but this is what we have. As of now, what is being confirmed by the Indian government is that we have lost a MiG-21 Bison aircraft, and one pilot of the Indian Air Force is missing at this point in time. Air Chief Marshal P.V. Nayak, thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. That's the reaction coming in. The hope and the expectation is that there should not be any further escalation, because India carried out its preemptive strike yesterday. Pakistan has done its strike, and of course both sides maintain that this has not been done in retaliation or revenge, and this has been done to avoid human loss and collateral damage. But you know, both sides will need to take stock of the situation in light of what has happened now, with the government confirming that an Indian Air Force pilot is missing and Pakistan claiming that it has not one but two pilots in custody. Well, this is going to be a developing story that we will continue to monitor. But that's the big breaking story at this point. And there are, as we pointed out, heightened tensions across the line of control. But what has happened in the last 45 minutes or so is that the no-fly restrictions that had been implemented across pretty much north of India, those have been lifted, at least for now. Remember, the airspace was temporarily shut down. All flights to and from Srinagar, outside of Delhi, Amritsar, Chandigarh, Dehradun, that airspace had been shut down. But for now, those flight restrictions have been lifted. Flights have resumed. But this is, of course, going to continue to be a developing story, and we will need to take stock. But the headline at this hour, it is unfortunate, but India confirming a MiG-21 Bison has been lost in the strike that was launched by Pakistan this morning, and also that a pilot of the Indian Air Force has gone missing.